Fighting types might just be the heavy hitter of every single list that I do of these categorical lists that I've done over, I think, at least 2 years now since the first one. Maya, what are you doing? What are you doing? What do you have? What do you have? Okay, that's her toy. All right. All right. She's doing just fine. She's just being a little crazy right now. Anyway, we're going to talk about the most average fighting type Pokemon that have ever existed for every single generation, starting from Gen 1 all the way to Gen 9, and then we'll pick the most average. So let's get started here. I think for Gen 1, I think everybody can agree the answer is Poliwrath. Everything on this list is either good or bad and no middle ground. Poliwrath is... The problem with Poliwrath is, like, physical special split really screwed him over because he is a physical Pokemon with a bunch of special water-type moves. He does get a fair amount of fighting moves, not too many, and that really hurts him until later generations. But in later generations, is he... Oh, sorry. Can you tell I recorded this right after the Ice-type one? It's only 8:38. How old am I? I'm turning into a grandpa real fast, man. I'm tired at 8:38. Anyway, it's better than Primeape. It's better than Hitmonchan. I can't really say it's better than anything else. That makes it average. That's what an average Pokemon is, right? Okay, well, it's Hitmontop then for Gen 2. I don't really have much of a conversation to have. This is obviously the best, and I'm not going to pick that. So it's this. I mean, it is what it is. I think Hitmontop is really cool. It's always the nostalgic Pokemon because I remember Hitmontop in the Pokemon TV show when I was a kid. He'd be like, Hitmontop, like that. That's exactly how he said it. And I guarantee it, if you go and look it up, you would know that's exactly how it sounded. And that's literally been in my head, ingrained in my head for literal years and years and years and years to this day, to the point where I can be like, Hitmontop, and it immediately reminds me of it. But that's all I got to say. I was really just trying to fill time there because I don't have much more to say other than that this Pokemon is... Okay, actually, we have a couple things we could say about this Pokemon. A disappointment. A disappointment is what I would say. Nobody asked for another Hitmon. It was cool that we got one because they added so many pre-evolutions and new evolutions in Johto, and this is one of the ones we got. I thought its moveset was cool. The concept of triple kick was cool. It was just bad every other way. That's all I can really say. Gen 3, it's Hariyama. Hariyama provides value from one thing only, and that's its HP. Its HP is so high. Like, literally, do you see this man's thighs? All of his HP are in his thighs. Like, here's his head, here's his tiny little chest, and then he's got these thunder thighs. All his HP is stored in there. This guy has so much HP. But at the end of the day, that's all he has. He has a decent moveset, but pretty bad attack, and a lot of HP. That's it. Gen 4. Gallade. Gallade is another evolution nobody asked for. And my main issue with it, while I like its moveset, is that it's just no Toxicroak or Infernape or Lucario. And that's really all I can say about it. Psychic Fighting is an interesting type. They tried it with Meditite, and it really didn't work. Medicham, that is. And it really didn't work very well. The main issue was physical special split more than anything else, which is why they didn't. Which is why they were able to fix that a little bit. But also the problem with Medicham is the fact that it is also kind of like a mixed attacker. It isn't better at physical, better at special. And Gallade is kind of similar to that as well, which is another issue. Gen 5 introduced a lot of fighting types. When I really think about like an average fighting type that you're happy to have, but like, meh, is either Throw or Sock. I'll say it's both of them just because I don't remember which ones are better at each one. I think Sock was the one that was less defensive and more offensive, and then you have Throw that's more defensive. I'm just saying that based off their design. I think I remember that. But anyway, what I always remember about Throw and Sock is it's basically they both do very similar things. Circle Throw is a cool move, always crits every time, things like that. It's just a very middle of the road fighting type. There's bad ones and there's good ones, and then there's this. And then there's also a fighting trainer. I guess he can summon fighting type Pokemon. He could have 6 of them, so I guess that technically is better than a Sock or a Throw. So Gen 6 is definitely It's not Quilladin. What does Quilladin evolve into? Chestnut! Oh my gosh, that is the first time ever I forgot a name and remembered it. Chestnut. It's funny. It took me a long time to learn that this thing was even a fighting type, which I thought was funny. Chestnut, everybody clowns on its design. Everybody, I always hear that people prefer the other two Gen 6 designs better. Of course, Greninja being the best. I know a lot of people say it's overhyped and overrated. Okay, that's fine, but you name another starter Pokemon that looks as cool as him. You just can't. Simple as that. But Chestnut is actually really good because it gets Spiky Shield as well. It gets Swords Dance. It gets Bullet Punch. Not Bullet Punch, Mach Punch. And a whole heap of other fighting and grass moves, making it a really good physical grass fighting type. Does that create a lot of weakness, though? Yes, and that's part of the problem with him. Everything else, though, is excellent. Generation 7 here. I'm going to have to go with Passimian. Why did you give this thing normal type? Why couldn't you just make this thing a pure fighting type? Everything would have been just fine, Game Freak. But then you're just like, let's add another weakness just so he can get stab on normal type moves, which he wouldn't use anyway. Wait a minute. Is this thing not normal fighting? I'm doubting myself right now. Let me see if Siri can tell me. Hold on. Let me turn my ringer up so you guys can hear Siri with me, okay? Here we go. Siri, what type is the Pokemon Passimian?
Here's an answer from facts.net.
It literally says Poplio is a water-type Pokemon. That's not what I asked. I didn't ask Poplio. Passimian. Oh, is this pure fighting? Did I make a whole rant over nothing? Oh, I did. You guys are going to be so mad at me. Okay, can we change our answer? I feel like all these Pokemon are good, though. I can't even be mad. You know what? It's Theramosa, and here's why. This thing dies in one hit. I don't care how fast and strong you are. When you can't take a hit, you're done. Okay, moving on. I'm not even going to cut that Passimian out of the video, too. You guys are allowed to clown me. Go ahead. Go down in the comments right now and clown me. Do it. I'm waiting. Go ahead. Tell me I'm stupid. I'm giving you full permission to say Wigs is stupid in the comments. No offense taken. I told you could do it. All right, couple more seconds. All right, let's get back to the video. Okay. Gen 8. Gen 8 is Sirfetch'd. Farfetch'd was a Pokemon that was universally loved, not because it was great, not because it was designed well, but because the opposite. It was a terrible Pokemon that had a goofy design and a really interesting mechanic and where you can give it a leak stick to make it stronger. Nobody asked for it to everybody kind of wanted it to be evolved. Not nobody. I was wrong on that one. A lot of people wanted it to be evolved. And we thought, after Gen 4, with 5 and 6 and 7, all not including new evolutions, that we would never get a new evolution again. And then Gen 8 came along and they said, yeah, we will. And they introduced Sirfetch'd. And let me tell you something about Sirfetch'd. They literally took Farfetch'd and gave him a sword and a shield! In Pokemon Sword and Shield! Is that not awesome? Are we not feeling that? Is this thing not also a fighting type now, which is super cool? Now, this is not a coolest Pokemon list. This is not an awesome Pokemon list. This is not a powerful Pokemon list. This is an average Pokemon list. And at the end of the day, you still were one day of Farfetch'd, and because of that, your base stats suck! They're awful! That's the problem. Gen 9. Flamigo is that Pokemon in Gen 9 that you forget exists. If you played through Gen 9 and you saw this and you said, ooh, I want to catch this, I guarantee you didn't add it to your party. If you saw this in Gen 9 and you said, ooh, I want to catch this, I bet you didn't actually want to catch it. I think you just wanted it for your Pokemon completion. Your Pokedex completion, that is. Flamigo, another fighting psychic, which I've already clowned on and said what was bad. But I bet you figured out that this existed and you immediately went and got a Primeape. You knew you were going to get this eventually. You probably started with this Or you found this in the first route because everybody catches their Pikachu clone, and this thing was literally OP. There was no reason to ever switch from it. Did I just say this thing was the worst, though, in that logic? Maybe I did. Maybe we need to rethink this. Maybe I just talked about the worst and not the best. Maybe I just did. Maybe I talked about the worst and not the most average. Maybe I just did. You know, I actually think Annihilate is probably the most average then. When you really put that into consideration. Annihilate, simply said, as Maya's out there drinking a whole bunch of water. She's thirsty. Simply said, we all were happy Primeape got an evolution because it was a Pokemon that felt incomplete, right? We're happy it was ghost fighting. That was such a cool idea. I feel like this thing is just still too fragile is the biggest problem. And he doesn't pack as big of a punch. Oh, I'm not yawning. Totally not yawning. As big of a punch as others. That's really the big difference I can see here with Annihilate. The most average, though. Yeah, I mean, I think of Sock or Throw every single time I think of just kind of an average Pokemon. I always have. Well, that's our list. We got Poliwrath. We got Hitmontop. We got Thunder-Thighed Hariyama. Gallade, Sock, and Throw. Both of them here. Let me put Throw in there for you. I'll put Sock down there, Throw up here. We got Chestnut, Pheromosa, Surfetch'd, Annihilate, and the most average is Throw and Sock. That's it for the list today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great one.